we should take a step back and say you were invited into that room, into that conference room, and you were invited for a reason, and that's because of your knowledge and your skill that you have to offer. And sometimes when we walk into a room with people that look intimidating, our confidence level just drops, goes from 100 to 0. And I think it is that thing of, no, we need to know that who we are in Christ. I was invited to this meeting for a reason, and I have something to offer, because that's what you said as well. That's great to know. The leaders listening to this show who are struggling with confidence as well, know that you have something to offer, and that God doesn't call the qualified, He actually qualifies the called. Today on Women of Faith in Leadership, we're welcoming a woman who embodies wisdom, resilience, and leadership through every season of life. Cindee Williams is a Maxwell Leadership Certified Speaker, DISC behavioral consultant, and the founder of Lead My Life. With over 30 years of hands-on leadership experience running a family-owned business, Cindee brings a rare blend of real-world experience and heartfelt mentorship. Her story, from raising neurodiverse children to building and selling a commercial company to rediscovering who she is beyond motherhood, speaks so deeply to the journey so many women find themselves navigating. Now, in the empty nest stage, Cindee is passionate about helping women reclaim their confidence, reconnect with their identity, and step boldly into the next chapter God is inviting them into. She is known for her relatable storytelling, her actionable leadership insights, and her ability to empower women to lead their lives, not just to manage them. In our conversation today, we talk about leadership through different life stages, the unexpected wisdom that comes with age, embracing your unique strengths, navigating communication challenges, and how to lead with confidence even in seasons of transition. You're going to feel seen, strengthened, and supported, especially if you're in a season of rediscovery. Enjoy. Do you wish that you could lead your team in a way that honors and glorifies God? Are you struggling to overcome self-doubt as a leader and have a desire to be more confident in your role? Welcome to the Women of Faith in Leadership podcast. I'm Rika, and for the last decade, I've experienced my fair share of managing challenging employees and teams in middle management leadership roles. I committed my leadership journey to God, and it changed everything. And I'm ready to share everything I've learned with you. Now, if you're ready to lead your team in a way that honors God, grab that notebook and pen, and don't forget your chai latte, and let's dive in. Welcome, Cindee, to the Women of Faith in Leadership podcast. How are you doing today?
I am so well. Thank you so much for having me today. I'm so excited about our conversation.
Yeah, me too. I just love connecting with guests from all over the show. I must say, I do the guest episodes only once a month. I release them, but I'm loving guests so much at the moment, just connecting with people all over the world. I might change that to twice a month now, because I've got so many requests for people wanting to be on the show, and I can't accommodate everyone. So I'm so happy. I'm so happy to be able to accommodate you today, Cindee.
Yeah, I'm so thankful for that. So thankful for the conversation. It's going to be good.
Yeah, we already had a lovely pre-conversation. Sometimes we have so many good pre-conversations, then I have to be like, no, stop, let's start recording because this is good. So why don't you introduce yourself to the listeners, and then also introduce the topic that we'll be talking about today.
Right. So I'm Cindee Williams, and I help empty nest women discover who they are beyond mom. Really gain confidence, reignite their purpose. And my passion is really discovering that leader in midlife, which looks a whole lot different than leadership, in our 20s and 30s and even our 40s, as I'm discovering at age 57 right now.
That's amazing. And so expand a little bit about your, where did you get to where you are right now? What's your history in terms of leadership? And then, being an empty nester yourself, because that's not a position I'm in. I just mentioned to you before, I've got my kids on school holidays. So, it's not something that I know. So I'm very curious to learn from you. Share with me a little bit, your stage of life, but how did you get there as well?
Right. Well, 30 years ago, I'll just start there. My husband and I started our entrepreneurship journey by discovering a cold water pressure washing machine in the barn.
Oh, wow. That's an
And
interesting one.
isn't that interesting? Yeah. So, I always say that, God just gives you whatever's in your hand, right? And so I was student teaching, and he was actually a helicopter pilot instructor, and we just needed some extra cash. So from
Mm.
that, we launched a commercial janitorial company that really expanded all of Southern California. And we recently sold it a couple years ago in 2023. But from that entrepreneurial, family owned, I call it from grind to grace business, we
Love
learned
that.
all, about leadership, about serving others, about, just hard work, about what works in a business, what doesn't work in a business, and taking care of your people, all of those skills, all while raising a family, and doing all the things. We're both
Mm.
very avid outdoors people, always taking our kids backpacking and cycling and running and doing, triathlons and things like that. And when the kids left in 2018, we took our daughter off to college, and I had been working. I'm going to say it wasn't a stay-at-home mom. I was a behind-the-scenes mom because I
I
was
love.
working behind the scenes, taking care of the room mom in the classroom and doing all that. And I was behind the scenes doing all the bookkeeping in our commercial janitorial company. Kids left, and we came home. And I like to say that we opened the front door of the house and we walked inside, and it was distinctly different. And I wasn't prepared for it. It
Mm.
was extremely quiet, like a heavy X-ray blanket type of quiet, and you walk by the bedrooms and they're empty, and it's emptiness. And I wasn't prepared for that. I wasn't sad that they were gone because I was super excited about the journey that they had launched off on. I was proud of the kids, but there was a deep sadness and really a loneliness in me of, who am I now? Who am I now? Because all of a sudden that role shifts so quick. They're not there anymore. And oh, I don't have to take you to water polo practice, and I don't have to go to ballet, and I don't have to do all these things in the evening. And everything just kind of came to a screeching halt. And I didn't know who I was, and it scared me. So I launched out on a journey. I was actually 50 years old in 2018, so it was right at that at midlife point. And something interesting that happens there too is, and I hear this a lot with the women that I coach, is that the friendships dissipate as well. So you have friendships a lot of times with the moms of your kids' mom, friends' moms,
Mm. Mm.
and they start going off in different directions. They may move, they may, just lifestyle or life changes. And so you just find yourself in this place of almost isolation.
Wow.
So it was at that point that I said, I have been supporting everybody else for a really long time. I've been pouring into, my kids, my husband, my family, all these things. I'd taken my dreams of, I was a teacher back in the early 90s, and I had dreams of speaking, and I loved mentoring and all that stuff, led a big Bible study, and I had kind of boxed all that up and put it on a back shelf and forgotten about it for a really long time. And so it was at
Mm.
that time I said, you know what? I'm ready to reawaken what God has called me to do. And what is that? And I'm ready to discover it. So the first thing I did was I got my real estate license.
Oh, lovely.
I said,
So
you know
cool.
what? I'm going to launch out on my own entrepreneurial journey, and I'm going to put our daughter through school. And that was really my first launching out, and just learning how to run that kind of a business by myself, which was a very interesting journey. And that just brought on just a whole 7 years of just personal growth and learning how to be a leader. And we can dive all into that. But
Mm.
that was kind of my start right there.
Wow. Wow. And what's so profound about that is that um, God really just doesn't care about our age. He can
Oh,
use you at any point at your life. Because I think when I was younger, you look at 50 and you're like, whoa, 50 is old. Now I'm only
oh.
10 years away from 50. And I'm like, that's not old. Life is only starting now. My husband's nearing 50 as well. And life's just starting for him. He just literally pivoted in a career change at the ripe age of 46. He's had just
Right.
had a career change. And I
Yeah.
know that although it is tough for him, I think we can find change. The older we get, the tougher change gets. That's something I've noticed personally, and with both of our parents as well. But if you are open to it, God can do a miracle in your life, and you're a true testament of that.
Yeah, thank you. When you said that change gets harder as you get older, I think that it gets harder because it's more wrapped in fear.
Ooh, interesting. I like that. Yeah.
We get to this spot and 50 and you're getting 60, you're getting up there and you have this fear of, do I have enough time?
Mm,
Am I too old to try that? And we don't want to take risks because we don't know the outcome and will I have enough time to recover if I fail? If I make a mistake. And so instead, I don't think it's so much that change gets harder. I think we become more afraid and we're not as willing to just take our hands and open them up and say, I release this to you, Lord. I
mm,
totally release and commit the season of my life to you. And when God calls us to a great assignment, I feel like he just gives us great preparation. I think of Moses. Moses is just one of my favorite
mm.
characters in the Bible, and he was 80 years old. He
Wow.
was 80 years old in the wilderness, hello, janitorial company, he was cleaning the desert, the sheep, uh,
Um,
just doing mundane tasks.
mm.
And God said, "No, I've been preparing you all this time, Moses. You're going to speak for me." And he's like, "No, I don't want to.
I'm
Pardon your
not
servant, Lord.
qualified enough.
Please,
Yeah.
please send somebody else." But that's us. God can use it. Just to your point, He can use us and wants to use us. I'm going to say up to the very last drop of
Mm,
our life.
mm,
But we have to be willing, and we have
mm,
to put the closer that we get to God and the more that we throw off everything that hinders us, the easier change becomes because we're
mm.
fully trusting Him. It's just like a trust fall because we have a track record with Him.
Mm. Yeah, and that's a challenge. I think it's a mindset challenge for everyone, for me as well, because like I verbalized what my mindset is that things get different or more difficult as it gets older, and it's because that's what I've seen, and I think that's
Yeah.
what I can see in front of me right now. But that doesn't mean that it has to be so. And I think that's a leadership challenge for all leaders, well, all the listeners to the show as well. Like, just age is just a number. Age is just
It
a number,
really is.
and
It really
yeah, we the lovely thing about actually getting older is that you get more mature and that you have more life experience than you ever had before. And I think that's the beauty of getting older and the appreciation that you have when you get older.
I think so too. There's this wisdom. I like to call it our wisdom years.
Well, I love
It's
it. Yeah.
maturity. Have you ever read Seven Habits of Highly Effective People?
I have, yes, from Stephen Covey. Yeah.
Yeah, one of my favorites. I'm always going back and revisiting that one, but he has the maturity continuum in there, where we start off, and some people stay there their whole entire lives in the dependency, down at the bottom, where everything happens is for me. Everything is for me, do it for me. And the middle one is independent, where we're like, I can just do it myself. I'm just going to do it myself, and that's that scarcity, competitive mindset. It's like, I can do it best. I'm not going to bring anyone into my circle. But as we age, and if we allow it, we move into that interdependency. And I think if we're willing to take it on, we're much better collaborators as we get older. Interdependent, we're like, oh, I'm okay that you have this skill over here, and this woman has this beautiful skill over here, and she has this and she has that. Let's all come together, and our product is going to be 10 times better doing it together than it was by ourselves. And I don't know if it's a maturity that comes with age or just you've been hurt enough times or whatever, or you just learned your lesson enough where there's just this beautiful willingness to collaborate
Mm.
at this season in life.
Yeah, because often I find with leadership, and with female leaders. And somebody did ask me one time, why are female leaders so competitive towards each other, and why is there so much gossip in mainly female, you know, dominated industries, like for example the
Mm-hmm.
education space? And I think for me, what is relevant here about what you just said is that we don't collaborate. We feel like it's a you or me situation. Like I have to hurt you to get to the top because there can only be one person at the top. And that's such a bad mindset that happens quite in the corporate environment. And the other thing, some research that I'd read about that is that because the mindset of the fact that males have been more domineering in leadership, and
Mm-hmm.
females are trying to climb that ladder, and things are much better now, in this day and age than what it was before. But because there was always only space for one female, maybe
Mm.
maximum two, females always felt like they had to, hurt the other person to get to the top. And I think what is changing nowadays, and what should be changing if it's not changed yet, is this collaboration space that you mentioned it. That's your strength. This is your strength. This is the thing that you're good at. This is the thing that I'm good at. And let's work together to make the end product this amazing thing that it can be.
Right. Yeah, that is beautiful. And I do see more of that. But as a leader, you're the one who encourages it, right?
Yeah.
When you see something that doesn't exist, as a leader, you initiate.
Mm.
You go, this is how I'm going to lead. We're going to collaborate. And I love going back to Philippians 2:5, having the same mindset as Christ,
Mm.
having the same mindset of Christ. And what did he do? He considered himself of no reputation. And I like taking that and thinking about it in a little different way, in that he didn't care. He didn't care what people thought about him. He made himself of no reputation. See, he went about and did what he called to do. He went about and accomplished his mission because it didn't matter. He had no reputation. It didn't
Mm.
matter to him.
Mm.
And I think as leaders, if we had the same mindset of Christ, knowing who we are, being very strong in our identity in Christ first, knowing that his image resides within us, and when God looks at us, he sees his perfect son. So who I am, I'm a daughter of the king, right? And I'm of no reputation, and that's okay, because the only reputation that matters is what he thinks of me. So I'm going to go about my assignment like a daughter of the king. And when we're able to do that, collaborating, being the only woman on the team, all of that, it doesn't matter, because I'm going to do what I'm called to do. I walked into a consulting meeting about a week ago, and there was five, because I do business consulting, and there's five very dominant men at the table, and it was a little intimidating.
I
You
can just
walk into
imagine.
the big conference room and the table, and they're all, but I'm like, no, I have to remind myself, this is who I am.
Mm.
And I have something of value to offer the table and the people in this room. God called me to do this, and I'm going to offer what he's given me. I'm going to
Mm.
offer my gifts. And just being able to come from that perspective, that's a confidence
Mm.
issue too. I think there's a lot of fighting amongst, or just that tension among women, because there's confidence. I believe that I have three confidence rules. Number one is, confidence is the quiet inner knowledge that you are capable. And just, if you know that you're capable, you know what your gifts are, you don't have to go shouting it from the rooftops. You just
Mm.
know it. It's a quiet inner knowledge. No matter what anybody says, it's your quiet
Yeah.
inner knowledge. So anyway, that's my soapbox, what you were just
Mm.
talking about.
No, that
I
was
could talk
it
about
was
it forever.
No, it was perfect on point, because I think that we should take a step back and say you were invited into that room, into that
Yeah.
conference room, and you were invited for a reason. And that's because of your knowledge and your skill that you have to offer. And sometimes when we walk into a room with people that look intimidating, our confidence level just drops, goes from 100 to zero. And I think it is that thing of, no, we need to know that who we are in Christ. I was invited to this meeting for a reason, and I have something to offer, because that's what you said as well. That's great to know. Isn't the leaders listening to this show who are struggling with confidence as well, know that you have something to offer, and that God doesn't call the qualified; He actually qualifies the called.
Right,
And
right.
that's so true. That's so true. So so you're rediscovering your leadership now at midlife. And
Yes.
so what have you felt like, from a difference perspective, because we talked a lot about maturity already, like between your 20s
Mhm.
and 30s and maybe even your 40s, what's different for you now as a leader in comparison to a couple of years ago, maybe, 20 to 30 years ago?
I'm going to say that the number one thing that's changed in my life is confidence.
Okay.
And I think I gained that confidence finally uh, at age 52 when I was in real estate. I took a disc assessment. It
Okay.
was something that our broker did. And I never
Yes,
done anything like that before. I don't know if you know or familiar with the disc behavioral
I am.
assessment, but
Yes.
yeah, so I sat down and I did that, and for the first time in my life on a 40-page document was me. Was who I could look at that and go, "Oh, I see myself in
Mm.
this." And it just made so much sense. And then when I started leaning into what my strengths are, I'm a DI. So my strengths are I'm very driven, I'm more assertive. I'm a people person. I love talking, I love speaking. And when I take those things away from me, then I kind of shrivel up and isolate. And so the whole time that I was in momhood behind the scenes mode, I wasn't really acting in my gifts. I wasn't acting in my personality strengths. And so I just kind of started to isolate and withdraw and just kind of did what I had to do every day to, do
Survive.
my job as a
Mm.
mom. And when I started coming out and going, "Oh, this is what I'm good at," and starting to embrace it, I came alive. My kids call me Mom 2.0 because they're like, "What
Oh,
happened to you?"
wow.
Because
Love
the
that.
change is that noticeable.
Wow.
Is
That's
that noticeable?
amazing. That's so
Yeah.
amazing, Cindy, because sometimes we feel stuck in a rut and we feel like this is my life forever. I'm never going to get out of this. And on a personal note, sometimes I feel like that too. I've got three neurodiverse kids, and
Mhm.
sometimes, it just feels like, oh, I just want to lead. I just want to lead people. I'm so passionate about leadership, but I've got this personal life that, like I have to deal with on a day-to-day basis. And it's interesting because I've had to make a whole mindset shift to say, okay, I'm a parent as well. I'm not just the leader. God called me into this home to be a parent first and foremost here, and then He called me into leadership. Um, and so it is interesting. I think that whole mindset shift of, and I like what you mentioned. You were the behind the scenes mom, because
Mhm.
sometimes, I think for me, what do I want to say? It's been tough. I think it's been tough to be a mum and a leader at the same time because there's so much responsibility that you have towards your team, especially if you've got a bigger team. Well, I think whether you've got a small team or a big team, you've got that responsibility not towards your own kids only, but towards the lives of other people. Mm.
Yeah.
Mm.
I'm going to tell you that we have neurodiversity in our household as well. So that's a whole journey. It's not all my story to share, so I don't share all of,
That's
I
fine. Yeah.
don't normally share that, but I totally understand where you're coming from because it seems like you got all of this going on over here, and then you're called to do what's in front of you as well.
Yeah.
I love to look at it as it's all integrated together.
Mm.
You're not a leader over here and then totally something different when you're at home. It
Mm.
is who you are. Those gifts are who you are, and everything that you do over here in the outside world translates to the person that you are at home, and they both build and develop together as a whole and strengthen you as a whole woman before God. And that's how I had to learn to see it was that everything that we went through in raising our children, there's some really, really difficult challenges. So thankful for them.
Mm.
So thankful for them because everything that we have gone through has grown me into the woman today that now I can see women who are struggling like I was and I can
Mm.
reach my hand back and I can mentor them. I can help them. I can give them words of encouragement. I can, all of that. So I think it's beautifully blended together and we have to be very careful not to put them in boxes. One over here, one over here. I like to say it's work, faith, life, and it's like this, a big circle. They all blend beautifully together, but we have to allow that to take place.
Thanks. Yeah, I think thanks for that, because sometimes it can be tough, and sometimes I'm a box person, as you could tell. I like to compartmentalize things.
Yes,
But I mean, it doesn't matter. It doesn't mean that it's not integrated, because I think it 100% is integrated. It's because of my children that I decided to step out of full-time leadership so that I could
right.
be home, be more present with them. And but in the meantime, what's beautiful is that I'm building this podcast, and that I'm connecting with
Yes.
amazing women of faith from around the world. Mm,
Right, right. So how
yeah.
beautiful is that, that God's orchestrated all
Mm,
that together in
yeah.
your life.
But I had to go through everything I went through in my leadership journey, so that it empowered this journey that I'm on right now. Mm,
Right, right.
yeah.
It all stacks. It
Mm,
all stacks.
mm,
I love the lacking versus stacking, because a lot of women when they get to this 50-year-old mark, or that halfway mark, and if they've been especially if they've kind of sacrificed in their career, maybe they were doing something for a job that they didn't necessarily love just to supplement income, or they're just not where they want to be. They come to this spot and they're like, I'm lacking experiences. How can I move into a career right now? Everything that I've done doesn't translate out in paper. And I know that at first I was like, I'll go look at LinkedIn, and I look at Indeed, and I would look at the jobs list, and I go, I can't do any of those things, because it would just be all these experiences. The last time I stepped out of the work world in 1998 to have our son, and yes, we were running a company, but it's like, how do those skills translate to a job? So you do feel like you're completely lacking, and that's something that God really showed me, is that your entire life you're just stacking things up until for the next opportunity that he gives to you. And it's really
mm,
kind of a beautiful thing when you're able to look back and go, oh, that's why I
yeah.
had that Etsy shop when I was doing woodworking, but it taught me how to run a business back in 2012. I did event planning, from like 2012 to 2015, as a wedding planner. But now when I put on my masterminds, I love creating experiences. So
Mm,
when I do a mastermind, it's all out. We've got linen tablecloths, we've got
oh,
candles,
amazing.
it's
Yeah.
beautiful. But that's from that experience that
Yeah.
I had as a wedding planner. It all blends together.
Yeah, and it's good because it's stacking. God helped, well, use that experience of what you had to stack, so that you need what you have right now for the space that you're in right now.
Yes. Yes.
Mm, mm.
Fully,
So
fully equipped.
yeah, fully equipped. I like that. So for those younger leaders who are not there yet, we do have some leaders who are, 20s, 30s, and 40s, like myself, and new Christians as well. So we do have, some leaders who are maybe a little bit older, but they're new to Christianity. Let's maybe start with the younger ones first.
Yeah.
What advice could you give them? Because obviously we're talking a lot about, like, be patient, things will get better, or, as you mature and you get older, and use those experiences. But what advice can you give to them right now for the space that they're in right now?
Right. That's perfect. For your 20s, I have a 25-year-old daughter, so I can picture this right now. The most important thing that I've told her and that I counsel her about is find find a woman, a couple women who are doing what you want to do at a higher, faster level than you, and have coffees. Get your advisory board together. Have that inner circle of people, and you may be scared to ask. It may feel awkward depending on your personality, and that's why I love the disc. And if you have opportunity to take a disc assessment, do that. But uh, find somebody that can mentor you, that you can come alongside, that you can have coffee with once a month, and it's just so that you know that you're not alone. And what I found with our daughter when she left college and I became, I was the emptiness mom, is that those transition seasons are very parallel. They're very parallel because she was leaving the whole environment of all the friends and all the endless activities and everything's going on. And then all of a sudden she took a job in Dallas, and everything's gone. And you're living alone in your little apartment and you have to like develop all the friend groups again. And that's exactly what I was going through. So it's really this transition season. And I did something that, and this can apply to anybody at any age. I started something in 2020 because I felt myself getting very lonely with the pandemic and all that. I started something called the 52 Coffees Challenge.
Mm.
So I said, I am going to take one woman out to coffee every single week that I do not know. Could be my mom, could be my sister, somebody that I did not know. It wasn't somebody creepy or strange, but that I felt safe with. And I just wanted to sit down with her and learn her story and learn how I could add value to her life. So it's mostly women business owners, within the realm of what I was trying to accomplish. And I started doing that every week, and my conversation skills improved. Started stop looking at my phone and actually have eye to eye contact with somebody. And then from that one conversation a week, it became, two, three, five. And then I eventually started my coaching because I'm like, oh, this is something that God's clearly calling me to do. But anybody could do that.
Mm.
Have conversations. The most powerful marketing force in existence that we have to leverage is human connection. If you want to build your business, if you want to build your leadership skills and all that, human connection. Stop trying to chase down followers on your Instagram and your Facebook, which is fine, whatever. But human connection in conversation will grow your leadership capacity more than anything else in this world.
Mm. Yeah, I like that advice. And as a young person, I think if I look back at where I was as a young person, and I was always, and one of the other guests said, that she believes that some people are born leaders and other people just fall into leadership, and they learn that skill. And I think for me it was, I think I was always a natural born leader. And for me it came very easy to lead people, to connect with people, and I'm naturally an extrovert, but I know that some people struggle with that. Some people are introverts, some people don't connect so easily. So what could they do, if they struggle to connect, because human connection is so important for any leader. But
It
what
is.
advice would you have for somebody who struggles to connect?
I used something because I was a stay-at-home mom, behind the scenes mom for so long. I really did struggle with this connection point and just how to have conversations, because you say, oh, go to networking events. Well, the whole time I'd be driving to a networking event, my heart would be pounding outside my chest. Were they going to hand me the mic and I'd have to talk for 30 seconds? Would I have, get cornered with somebody and have to have a long conversation? All those kind of things. I understand that 100%. So somebody taught me the Ford method. Have you ever heard of that
Mm,
before?
no.
So it's helped me, just a framework. God designed us, so orderly, and it gives us
I love that.
frameworks on how we can operate.
Yeah.
So I would go Ford. Okay, I would run into somebody, and first just smile. A smile is totally free. Just smile. Practice on your smile, because a smile is the greatest attractant that you have. So you walk up to somebody at your networking meeting, and family, friends. Oh, you're here, and I live in Temecula. You're here in Temecula. What brings you here? Do you have family here in the valley? And you just start a conversation with that. Do not ask them what they do. Everybody asks, what do you do? What do you, ad nauseum? No, before anybody wants to know what you do, they want to know who you are.
Mm.
Who you are. They want to connect with you personally. So ask them the F, family, friends. And I tell you what, people want to talk about themselves.
Mm.
So just keep asking them those kind of questions about family. Then you could move to occupation. How long have you been doing it? Do you really enjoy your job? How did you get started? What are your interests in it? And just asking them questions all around their occupation. Have you ever done that anywhere else in the world? Or, what travels have you had because of your occupation? And you just start developing all these questions around occupation.
Mm.
I mean, usually you can't even get past that, because that could be just like an hour-long conversation. But if you do, you can go to R, which is recreation. What do you do for fun? What do you do for fun? And then you move to dreams. So 5 years from now, what do you see for yourself? What are your dreams? What are you aspiring to? And just learning that art of conversation, anybody can do that.
Mm.
I could do it. I tell you, I was scared of my own shadow. God called me to speak. I did not want to speak. I was, pardon your servant, Lord, send somebody else. Please don't send me. In college, we had to take a speech class. And so I took the tiniest speech class I could find, which was small group communications, because I would only have 2 or 3 people in my group. So I was very scared to have conversations, but just
Mm.
practicing those things as a 22-year-old really, really helped me a lot.
Mm. And I can see how something like that can work during an interview as well if you're meeting somebody new and really want to get to know, because I used to do interviews for new people, for new recruits all the time. And what's interesting in that interview space is sometimes people want to intimidate the person or the new recruit coming in, whereas like I never
Mhm.
had that. I was like, no, I really want to get down and know this person in the short period, 30 minutes or 40 minutes that we have with an interview, because
Right,
how are you really going to know if you connect with that person or if they're going to fit into your organization? So even just that forward good work actually during an interview, because when you were going through that, I was like, oh yeah, you could actually really get to know someone during an interview and if they would be suitable for your company during that time.
right,
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
And
So,
even as the interviewee,
mm,
if you go into it instead of thinking it's all about me, what if I mess up? What if I forget what to say? What if all that? If you go in there going, I'm going to learn about them.
mm,
It's about them. How can I bring value to them? And you just reframe it in your mindset and
yeah,
take all that pressure off of yourself and go, I'm going to find out about these people because you want to know who you're going to work for,
mm,
right? And so kind of reverse the table. So it works both sides.
yeah, yeah. I could agree with that because quite often we want to go and work at a company because it looks really great on paper, but then when we get
Mhm.
into the interview, we're like, oh, I know, I'm not sure, because it's as much your decision as it is their decision to pick you. You
Yes.
also have to decide. Yeah, so that was great. So, what do you do right now? So, what's your business right now? What's your business model? And how have you rediscovered yourself now at the beautiful age of 57?
57, yes. So in actually 2024, January 10th, I launched Lead My Life, and I launched it as a group coaching platform for
Mhm.
women because my
Okay.
thing it's community, connection, coaching, and change. So I launched that as a membership program because I was doing a lot of one-on-one coaching, and I really wanted to. I found the ladies worked best when we were in community and when we could collaborate with each other. So, we have three different types of coaching calls a week. We have something, one of the favorites everybody comes to is Monday mornings at 7 a.m. We have our Monday morning roll call. So you can
Oh,
come in your robe, you can come with your messy hair, you can come however you want to come, but it's for 15 minutes
coffee.
and coffee, all of it. I usually come right before I go for my run, and I give a short little, Monday motivational, but it's just that we can call out what is our expectation for the week? What
Mm,
what am I going to work on this week? What is important to me this week? And that we can take it out of our head and give a voice to it. And everyone in the group now is going to hold me accountable. They're gonna text me on Tuesday and say, hey, did you order that thing you were supposed to order? Or hey, how'd your workshop go? Or hey, and we're talking to each other all week long. So we
mm,
do that. We have office hours, we have group coaching call. I love doing that. I do quite a bit of business consulting around, I call it identity to impact. So I like to launch companies off on a DISC assessment amongst their employees, and then work them into who they are as a company, whom they serve. I do a lot of ideal client around AI and integrating their DISC and their ideal client handbook together so they
mm,
know who they are, whom they serve, and why they do it. So it's
mm,
really two wings. I've got my coaching platform and then my business consultancy, which is really all around identity, business identity. I like to
mm.
say, have a business that blesses you back.
Oh, nice. I like that. And so you have obviously become now a qualified disc trainer as well.
I am. I'm with the Maxwell Leadership team. They're
Mm,
executive. So
right.
all my speaking, leadership, disc. I'm a disc consultant. So I always that's my launching pad. It's my launching pad for my coaching program. All the
Okay.
ladies who come in, they start with disc, and that way we know what we're working with,
Yeah.
and we can go from there.
I
Yeah.
will admit it's been one of my biggest dreams for ages to become a Maxwell leadership coach. I have actually looked into it before, but I've never gone ahead with it. So I had to choose between doing my master's degree or doing the Maxwell leadership coaching, and I went with my master's degree.
Huh.
But it doesn't mean that I don't still wish that I did that. So I will chat with you a little bit more off
Yeah.
screen about that. Yeah, yeah. So that
In
that
the
that'll be.
future, there's always time, right?
Yeah, exactly.
There's
Exactly.
always
I
time.
know. I know there's
Yeah.
still time. So
Yes.
that's great. And so how can people get into contact with you, Cindee, if they are looking at doing the DISC assessment or whether they with that business consulting or even your group coaching program? Because that sounds like a wonderful opportunity for female leaders.
It is. We have I love my ladies. They're my heart. I tell them I obsess over you every day. But the best way, either way, is leadmylife.com.
Okay.
My website is really the best way. I mean, you can book a call on there, but you can go in and you can check out everything that we're doing. I do have my speaker website as well, which is at cindeewilliams.com if you'd like me to speak. But if you just want to find out about the program and talk with me, that leadmylife.com is the best way.
Okay. And I'll make sure I put that in the show notes as well, especially for those listeners who are driving at the moment, so they can just go and click that. And it'll also come out in the newsletter that goes along with the episode. So for those
Okay.
listeners who forget when they get home because they've got busy lives, look out for the
Right. Right.
newsletter. The link will be in there as well.
Okay, perfect. Beautiful.
Great. Well, this was such a lovely conversation, Cindee. It was so amazing to connect with you. And yeah, I can't wait for us to chat again.
Yeah, so thank you so much again for having me in two different time zones across the world. It was great to have a conversation with you, and just want to encourage you in your leadership and what you're doing. It's a beautiful thing to be a mom.
Thank you so much. I think you're leading as much in home as what you're leading out there as well
Yes,
for other people
yes.
who's relying on you too. So yeah, thanks for that encouragement. I appreciate that so much. Hey, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If so, would you take 30 seconds and leave me a 5-star written review on Apple Podcasts? It would mean so much to me to read your feedback. Also, it would really bless me big if you shared this episode with a fellow leader who might benefit from hearing today's message. And remember, put on the armor of God daily and walk by faith and not by sight. I'll meet you back on Monday for another episode.